In the world of marketing, they say perception is everything, and for good reason, because with us human beings, perception is everything. For instance, have a look at this odd little drawing. You may have seen it before. It's called a blivet, and it's used to explain optical illusions. And if you look at it, you can see on one side it seems to have three nice little legs here, but when you move to the other side, something else happens entirely. You may notice as we move our eyes back and forth that the gears of your mind kind of engage, and there's like a crunch takes place in your mind as you try to make sense of it. Now you can add visual aids, and they can help you at either end, kind of separating and see very clearly that you have two legs at the top and three at the bottom. But when you put your eyes in between the two visual aids, there's still that grinding of your mind, which in some ways isn't that pleasurable. And reports can be truly blivet-like. They need to be interpreted by human beings. And a lot has been learned about the way the human brain, yours and mine, is constructed in the last couple of decades. And as it ends up, which may or may not be a surprise to you, is we're not that logical a creature after all. We're kind of rational when it suits us, when we have to be, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's one of the reasons we've been able to survive. And again, not so surprising, emotions lurk behind and have a strong influence on what we think and our decisions. And the science they call the science of cognition tells us that our brains are constructed to see patterns, so much so that we can see patterns when they're not even there. And we use that ability to make patterns in order to create mental shortcuts as a survival mechanism so we can get by and conserve our precious mental energy. So we may see something as it really is only the first couple of times. After that, we build preconceptions in our minds, and we filter what we see through those preconceptions. And as they become reinforced, if the preconceptions help us to some degree, then they become biases and can even become mindsets. And these biases and mindsets become the way in which we explain reality to ourselves. And being uncomfortable with the uncertain and wanting explanations for everything, these biases can lead us to devalue ideas that don't agree with our biases and value the information that supports our biases to the point where we're not really seeing everything that's really going on. And by eliminating evidence to the contrary, they can reinforce themselves to the point where they're, as mindsets, the mother of all biases. They hang on despite all evidence to the contrary. And what evolved as a survival mechanism can actually become a threat to our survival. As it turns out, our brains are founded on two very different systems of cognition, of understanding things. There's the easy and the crunch, System 1 and System 2. System 1, the easy, is like the rabbit in the story of the tortoise and the hare. And I love it. It makes it easier for us to get through life. Our world is set up to use System 1, the easy. Thank God, for instance, you go to any hotel room when you're traveling like I do, and usually the light switch is in the same place. You don't even have to think about it. Just whack. Turn it on, you got lights. Then there's system number 2, and it's called the crunch because, like when you finally enter a hotel room which doesn't have the light switch in the same place, you'll feel the crunch set in as there's a moment almost of angst when you have to sit down and plug your mind in and figure out where's the most likely place for the light switch to be. System number 2, the crunch, is the problem solver. It's the part of our brains that is logical, but it takes a lot of energy for it to run. It's much easier to run on system number 1. And system number 2 is very, very focused, but isn't very good at multitasking. So in the part of our mind that we use the most, if it is plausible and it's possible, it's true, it's much more fun to shoot from the hip than it is to have to endure the crunch to figure something out. But here's where you get into trouble. Have a look at this. And almost everybody who looks at this says when they first see it that they see 2 triangles and 3 circles. But do they? Is that really what they're seeing? Take your finger and follow along in the white space and tell me, Where's the lines that make up the triangle? They're not there. There's nothing there but white space. Our minds are seeing the lines that aren't there. Really, what you have is 3 V's and 3 Pac-Men. Look at it. Am I wrong or am I right? Okay, if we're just having fun on the internet, what difference does it make? But if it's your business, if your livelihood and the livelihood of other people depends on it, it's important to know that you can really see things easily that aren't there, that you're set up to do it. And in the next section, we're going to learn a great tool, a thermometer, a gauge that is designed to help with just that challenge.